Good morning and welcome to our seminar on women and Social Security. I'm Jerry Hafer, the AMAC Foundation. For those of you that may not be familiar with AMAC, I'd like to take a moment up front to just talk a little bit about the AMAC organization. The AMAC Foundation is an affiliate of the Association of Mature American Citizens, AMAC Inc., and it's a nonprofit public benefit corporation, a 501c3, registered in the state of Florida. The AMAC organization advocates for seniors, offering benefits and services critical to seniors. To learn more about what AMAC offers, we encourage you to check out their website at amac.us. Our foundation is a key part of AMAC's services. We operate with a clear mission of supporting and educating America's seniors. We accomplish this mission through contact with the senior community and the military veterans community across the country, providing a steady flow of information, seminars, and activities covering activities critical to the people we serve. This two-part webinar, today and Friday, will present a wealth of information designed to help women understand the benefits available to them via the complex world of Social Security. So as I said earlier, my name is Jerry Hafer, and I'm one of the Foundation's Social Security advisors. Today, I have the opportunity to work with two of my incredible colleagues here at the AMAC Foundation, Eileen Cook and Sharon Kletchka. You saw their bios when you registered, so I'm not going to repeat them. But I will say that I've worked with them closely for the past 8 years, and I have tremendous respect for the level of their knowledge, as well as their attitude towards service to the community. So I really welcome the opportunity to work with them. I want to talk a little bit about the Social Security Advisory Service that we operate here at the Foundation. We established this service back in 2016. We currently have 7 trained and accredited Social Security advisors accredited by the National Social Security Association. 2 of those, my colleagues, Sharon and Eileen, are duly accredited by the National Social Security Association and the Registered Social Security Association. We also have on our staff 2 advisors who are retired from the Social Security Administration and bring with them a lot of in-depth knowledge about Social Security as well as contacts within the Social Security Administration. Two very valuable additions to the staff that we have. So that's our Social Security Advisory staff. You can look on the Foundation website, amacfoundation.org, for a broader description of the service. But here is how you access that service, and we'll touch on this at the end of the seminar as well. You can email us with questions about Social Security to ssadvisor@amacfoundation.org, or you can telephone the Foundation office at 888-750-2622. You can also make an appointment if you happen to be in the geographic area where we are to meet with advisors at our office. And again, you can learn more about the advisory service at amacfoundation.org. So I want to talk a little bit too about some of the websites that we maintain. Again, amacfoundation.org is our general website, but wealth of information about Social Security and about seniors, projects and information that we produce about seniors. But it's a very extensive website, has a lot of content information on it. The Social Security Report.org is one that if you have interest in Social Security, which you obviously do if you're on this seminar, that website is information packed with a lot of information about Social Security, what's happening in Social Security legislatively, a lot of tips and techniques about Social Security. It's updated 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, with at least 3 or 4 breaking news articles about Social Security. Tremendous website. There's a lot of archival information about the history of the program, and it's keyword searchable. If you have a particular interest in a topic, you can keyword search the website and get thousands of articles about Social Security. MedicareReport.org is similar in nature to Social Security Report.org, but it presents a lot of current news about Medicare, things that are happening legislatively in Medicare and healthcare in general as well. Those two websites, in addition to our foundation.org site, basically present a lot of information to the public about what we do at the foundation. So I would encourage you to take a look at those. There's a wealth of information available through those sites. Also, I want to present our official disclaimer. We need to do this. The material presented today is provided by the AMAC Foundation Social Security Advisors, certified by the National Social Security Association, LLC. They do not necessarily represent the views of the Social Security Administration. The information presented today does not constitute financial, legal, or tax advice and should be used for informational purposes only. Since individual circumstances vary, you should consult your legal, tax, or financial advisors before making any financial decisions. Now, a quick look at what we're going to talk about today. This is actually a four-part webinar. We're going to do 2 parts today and 2 parts on Friday. But today's topics are going to include statistics and why Social Security is important. We're going to cover a lot of background information about statistics that are pertinent to women and their participation in Social Security. We're going to talk about how you establish a MySSA account and the importance of doing that. We're going to talk about how you qualify for benefits and when you should file for benefits. We're going to talk about how benefits are calculated. We're going to talk about how benefits are calculated. This is an important topic. Very few people understand when they look at Social Security before they file, they have no idea of how their benefits are calculated. So we're going to talk about that, the math behind that, really, and I think that will be very helpful for you. The issue of working after you begin drawing benefits is an area that we need to talk about for anybody considering doing that. In other words, drawing benefits before your full retirement age, but continuing to be in the workforce. That has some implications that you need to be aware of. We're going to talk about cost of living adjustments, how they take place, how they're calculated, and exceptions that allow you to get a new Social Security number. There are ways to do that. We'll talk about that. We're going to talk about spousal benefits, something that I'm sure is very important to you. We're going to talk about the concept of deemed filing, which is, I think, generally misunderstood by a lot of people. So we're going to talk about what that means and how it came to be. Widow benefits and the effects of remarrying. Again, another topic of interest to many, many women. Lump sum death benefits, we'll touch on that briefly. That's not a really big area, but we'll touch on it briefly. Divorced spouse benefits, another area where there's a lot of confusion and a lot of things that need to be understood. Common law and civil unions and Social Security, we'll talk about those particular issues as well. We're going to talk about dependent benefits, children's benefits, dependent parents benefits, a little bit about Social Security disability insurance, and we're going to talk about something called the family maximum, which is important based on the benefits. The first couple of benefits mentioned on this slide, you need to understand a little bit about the family maximum benefit. So we'll talk about that. And we're going to talk about the windfall elimination provision and the government pension offset. Not a whole lot because those two provisions are in the process of being repealed, and we'll update you on that. We're going to talk about the issue of taxation of Social Security benefits, which if you're doing retirement financial planning, this is very important to understand. For those of you that may be considering retiring abroad, we're going to talk about how benefits work for people that do not live in the U.S. And we will wrap it up with a quick discussion on some of the provisions related to Medicare, including the hold harmless provision and the IRMA, which you'll become very familiar with the term IRMA by the time we're done here. So that's pretty much what we're going to talk about today. We'll talk a little bit about statistics that are important to women. There's a lot on this slide. I don't probably not good to talk about all these individual things, but even though Social Security benefits are gender neutral, there are a lot of things you need to understand. Um, for example, Social Security is very important um, because of, whoops, I'm sorry. Social Security is very important because of the imbalance between men and women relative to Social Security benefits. Women typically have lower median earnings, for example, than men. Um, that's the result of a lot of different factors like breaks in employment. Many women have left the workforce for childcare purposes and then come back in. So there was a break in performance, which affects uh, earnings records over time. On average, women receive less monthly income from Social Security than men. Again, that's because of the impact on breaks in employment and interruptions in the earnings record and that kind of thing. Women are the sole or primary breadwinners in 4 of 10 households with kids. And the reason we make a point of that is it's important that you understand Social Security and are able to maximize your benefits and understand the various types of benefits that are available. Um, because that's an evolving statistic, I think, demographically, where women are becoming, in many cases, the sole or the primary breadwinner in a household. So, all important to understand. Elderly women are less likely than elderly men to have significant retirement income other than Social Security. And we'll get into a little bit of the demographics, and how that plays out as well. So we're going to hit you with a lot of statistics here. Um, and I think that the reason for these will become apparent as we go through the webinar. Social Security is extremely important to mothers. 40% of all U.S. households with children under 18 include mothers who are either the sole or primary source of income for the family. A lot of single mother households. On average, mothers spend more hours than fathers caring for their children. Again, these are statistics that just describe the household aspect of women and how Social Security affects them. Again, there's a lot on this chart. Um, but we'll talk a lot about dual entitlement. That's a subject that we'll touch on a couple of different times during the webinar. Um, the 21st century demographics and how women factor into the 21st century demographics is an evolving situation. The economy is evolving. There are more women remaining in the workforce for a longer time. And as a result, they have the benefit of either drawing benefits on their own work record or on the work record of a spouse. And that gets very complicated. We'll talk about that as well. Some quick statistical things for you. Women are 55.5% uh, of all the Social Security beneficiaries age 62 and over. So more than half of the Social Security beneficiaries that are age 62 and above are women. Women are 65% of all beneficiaries age 85 and older. That's a factor of life expectancies for women being greater than for that of men. And that's an important item that we'll discuss as we move forward in the slides. It becomes very important, for elderly women. Less than half of women age 65 and older are married. Again, that's an evolving demographic that we'll talk about as well. Women typically have spent more time out of the workforce. As I mentioned earlier, the interruptions in the work record for childbearing and other reasons for being out of the workforce has a definite impact on the benefit that are ultimately available to women. Women have historically been secondary earners. Again, that's historic. That is changing. That is evolving as the demographics evolve and as the economy evolves. But women historically, in terms of calculating a work record, have been the secondary earner in the household. And again, that's changing systematically. And by the same token, as a result, women have typically earned less than men. Other important facts, women typically have less career earnings and less savings, again, because of the interruptions in the work history. It's a consequence of that. And women are more likely to be caregivers, which results in taking more time out of the workforce and subsequently reducing the calculation, which we'll get to in a minute, the calculation of your benefit. Women have an average retirement account balance, which is about 40% less than men. Again, a recent report I read from Bankrate said that 60% of working women feel they're behind on their savings. And that could be because, of single mother households and just not having the income level necessary to allow them to save money. At age 65, women can expect to live approximately another 20 years. And that's, another part of the situation of the women that are, age 85 and up. The life expectancy for men at age 65 is less than 20 years. And so women live longer and draw Social Security benefits longer than men. Women 65 and older are 25% more likely to retire with incomes below the poverty line. And that's a significant factor. And that's why it's important to make certain that you're making the correct decisions when you file for Social Security and that you're maximizing your benefits. And again, this is all information that we'll be talking about as we go through the slides. This chart really just shows you statistically for Social Security recipients, for example, age 62, you can see that the average benefit is $1,298 a month for all recipients, but there's a significant difference between men and women. And again, the only reason we're covering all these statistics is so that you get an appreciation for the importance of understanding Social Security and making the correct decisions. Average Social Security benefits for women are 25% lower than men. That's sort of a recap of the earlier slides. For unmarried women, including widows age 65 and over, Social Security represents 49% of their income. That's a significant factor. And again, it goes to the importance of making sure that you're maximizing your benefits. For nearly half of unmarried women, for nearly half of unmarried women Social Security beneficiaries, Social Security represents 90% or more of their income. Again, that is an important factor. The never married elderly, age 65 or older, have the highest poverty rate among all groups, followed by those who are divorced and widows. All of this again points to the importance of understanding Social Security and making certain that you're making the correct decisions. And that's the purpose of this webinar today, to help you make the correct decisions. Yeah. So moving ahead, here's some of the common Social Security terms. I'm going to ask Sharon to jump in at this point, and she has a wealth of day-to-day experience of dealing with all of these terms, and she can cover them quickly. But these are the kind of terms we're going to be covering in this webinar today. Sharon?
Yeah, these are terms when you talk to anyone about Social Security, you're going to be like, they're going to be talking about credits. Those are what you need to qualify for Social Security. How many quarters? Then you have your average index monthly earnings, the basis for determining one of the bases of determining your benefit, known as AMI, primary insurance amount. You hear PIA, that is usually equivalent to your full retirement age. Delayed retirement credits, you're going to hear DRC all the time. Cost of living adjustment, that's your COLA, and full retirement age. FRA.
And I think by the time we get through the next couple of slides, you'll fully understand things like AMI and PIA and FRA. So don't be concerned about understanding them now. We're going to cover them in detail. So Sharon, you just want to continue on the basics of Social Security?
Sure. Primer on the basics of Social Security. How do you qualify for benefits? Well, you need to have at least 40 credits, equivalent to 10 years of work history, and benefits are accumulated throughout your working years. Now, benefits are based on your earnings history, and the higher your earnings, the higher your Social Security benefit's going to be. Social Security tracks your earnings, but it's important to verify that all your earnings have been reported and recorded. Mistakes do happen. You got to remember the people at Social Security are human just like us. And we're going to let you know that this is one of the important reasons to create a My Social Security account online. This gives you complete access to what's going on with your Social Security account.
We strongly encourage a My Social Security account if you haven't set one up, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But it's something that I think is indispensable for most people. So we'll talk about that right now, as a matter of fact.
All right. To establish a My Social Security account, you go to www.ssa.gov. To create one, you're going to need a Social Security number, a valid U.S. mailing address, and an email address. You will also need a valid driver's license or ID card. You will need a camera, cell phone with the camera capabilities to take picture of identification and your face. There are 2 levels of security applied. So it is a very secure account to have, and it allows you to do so much. It allows you to check your earnings records and get benefit estimates. You can get a replacement Social Security or Medicare card. You can update your address, your phone numbers. You can update your direct deposits to a different bank account. Just be aware, if you change your bank account with Social Security, it's going to take up to 2 months for that to take effect. But you can make that change online.
Again, we strongly encourage that everybody participating in Social Security has a My Social Security account. So it's an important thing. So.
And this is to make you aware that you know your full retirement age, because it's been increasing for years. And for everyone 1960 and later, it is currently the full retirement age is 67. As applying too early, you can be affected by a couple factors. It's going to reduce your benefit if you haven't reached your full retirement age. And you're going to have an earnings limit, which we will discuss in more detail. And also be aware that if you're born on January 1st, say you're born January 1st, 1960, you're actually born in December 1959. According to Social Security, they will make you a little older before your time.
One point I didn't mention earlier, it skipped my mind. The chat is open for any questions you have. We will get to them later in the session. So if you have any questions, just enter them into the chat. Okay, let's talk, Sharon, now about early retirement.
Okay, a lot of people are, know when you're 62, you can take your benefits. Well, if you do take them at 62, and you have a full retirement age of 67, it is a severe cut of 30% less that you're going to receive for the rest of your life. Also, you're not considered 62 until you are 62 all month. So unless you are born on the 1st or the 2nd of any month, you will not be considered 62 until the following month. And then you have delayed retirement credit, DRCs, and you can earn these until you reach the age of 70, and your benefits will increase by 8% for each full year, but they do increase monthly, 2/3 of 1% per month. And just an example, if your full retirement age would be, benefit would be 1,500 and you delay to 70, your benefit would increase to 1,860. Between the age of 67 and 70, your benefit grows 124%. That's some good interest.
Yeah. Just to reiterate something on the early retirement, we do get a lot of people that unfortunately, have the mistaken opinion that, well, I can retire at 62 and I get a reduced benefit, but when I reach full retirement age, it goes up to my original full retirement benefit. That's just not the case. So it's something that unfortunately, we have to explain to people. It's an interesting thing, but it is permanent. And the benefit that you draw at age 62 is permanent.
Yeah, this is just to give you an idea of how much your benefit actually grows between 62 and 70. I mean, it's something to consider if you're in good health. You have a family history, especially where the women all live into their 90s. And if you're going to be heavily dependent on your Social Security benefit due to lack of other retirement savings, between the age of 62 and 70, your benefit will grow 77%. Do the math. It's true. I checked it out. It actually grows 77% between 62 and 70. And it doesn't matter what your retirement age is.
Yeah, theoretically, from a math perspective, the philosophy is you retire early, you get benefits for a longer period of time, although they're reduced. If you retire at age 70, you get a higher benefit, but for theoretically a shorter period of time. Social Security will typically tell you that it doesn't make any difference when you retire because because of the equalization over time. But that's only true if you live and die according to the actuary tables. If you have a really long life, which many people are, living into their 90s, and we're seeing more and more people that reach age 100. You've accumulated benefits for much longer period of time, than typically. So that's just a little comment on statistics. Now, this is the fun part of the process, understanding how your benefits actually calculated. So Sharon, take it away.
Okay, we get so many phone calls. Well, it's your last 3 years. Oh, it's your last 5 years. Everyone thinks if they make all this money in their last 3 to 5 years working, they're going to get this big Social Security benefit. Unfortunately, it's not true. Social Security uses the average of your highest 35 years of earnings from which Social Security taxes have been withheld. And if you don't have 35 years of earnings, as we mentioned previously, women a lot of times have 10 years off work to raise the children when they're really small. Social Security will add zeros to make 35 years. Yes, and it will decrease the amount of your Social Security benefit you will get when you retire. Now, all the way through the age of 59, Social Security indexes your wages for inflation. those are your average index monthly earnings. That means they're worth more today than they were when you actually earned them. And this really affects women because during those important years when your benefits are being indexed for inflation to make them larger when you retire, you could be losing 10 to 15 years that are your most beneficial years to work, once again, resulting in a smaller Social Security benefit than someone that doesn't have to take off work for childbearing or family care. And you do not see those earnings on your earnings statement, but what was 25,000 25 years ago could be worth 100,000 today. So that does increase your benefit when it's calculated out.
Yeah, Sharon, let me just go back to the second bullet point on that slide. The average of your highest 35 years of earnings from which Social Security taxes has been withheld. The important thing to note is from which Social Security taxes have been withheld. We hear from a lot of people that have had income but did not report it. In other words, working privately and were not on a payroll and so therefore didn't pay Social Security taxes. That does not go in then to your earnings record and has a tendency to, pardon me?
Self-employed a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Wonder
that's,
why they have zeros, because they expensed out everything and they didn't owe any self-employment
yeah.
taxes, which is their Social Security.
Yeah. So the real key is on which Social Security has been withheld. Social Security taxes, FICA taxes have been withheld. And another point too is that's another reason for the My Social Security account so that you can keep track of making sure that the earnings record is being built with credible information. So just another plug for My Social Security accounts.
And if you see missing earnings, there's no time limit on turning in your W-2s to get your earnings record corrected, but for the self-employed, you only have 3 years. If you don't catch missing earnings within a 3-year period, they will not accept your self-employment tax returns.
Good point. Good point to cover. Okay. This infamous thing called Amy.
Amy, we're back to the PIA, primary insurance amount. Like we previously mentioned, usually equivalent to your full retirement age. It's broken into 3 segments, and these are your bend points. This is just to give you an example. If your average index monthly earnings were $6,000 a month, a lot of us wish, but if they were, they'd use the 90% of the first bend point, then they go down to the second bend point. And as you get to the third bend point, if you're under the maximum, well, you don't get any credit for the third bend point. The reason when they call it your primary insurance amount, the reason we say it's usually equivalent to your full retirement age, because when people work beyond their full retirement age, you can actually increase your Social Security benefit if these are still your highest earnings, which means you increase your PIA.
And so that's that's a mathematical explanation of how your base benefit at full retirement age is actually calculated. So for those who elect to collect benefits and continue to work, there's important things that you need to know.
And I think Eileen will take over from here.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. So if you're filing for benefits and continue to work, and you are under your full retirement age, you can earn up to $23,400 annually. For earnings over the 23.4, your benefits will be reduced for every $2 that you earn. So Social Security is going to want one back. They will send you a letter at the end when you file your taxes, or the IRS sends over the transcript to Social Security. They will send you a letter saying that you've been overpaid, and they will give you options on overpayment. In the year you reach your full retirement age and through the month before your birthday, the reduction is the amount you can make is higher. It's $62,160. And if you go over that for $3, they want one back. From the month you reach your full retirement age, there is no limit. You can be an Elon Musk, a Jeff Bezos, Oprah, anyone you want to be. You can make as much money as you want to be. If for some of your retirement events are withheld because of your earnings, and that's one of the things they will do for overpayment is they will withhold your payments until they get their money back. Your monthly benefit will increase starting at your full retirement age to take into account those months in which the benefits were withheld. And you can go for more details on their website. You can follow the link there. So let me see. Okay, let's talk about cost of living. Now that you'll hear this every month, you have projections, but let's get some history and then we'll go into what actually cost of living is. The history is prior to 1975, seniors on Social Security would have to wait till an act of Congress to give them a raise. But now they put in a law effective in 1975 to adjust the benefits for inflation every year. Now it's based on the Consumer Price Index of Urban Wage Earners and Clerical Workers, short CPIW. It's calculated in October, but applied in January. The COLA was for 2025 was 2.5 down from 3.24. Now let me explain what COLA is, because there's a lot of craziness going around. The annual COLA is determined by the average rate of inflation measured by the CPIW in the third quarter of each fiscal year. Now the third quarter runs from July 1st to September 30th. Then it is compared to the last year's third quarter. So they can do third quarter to third quarter. And then the resulting difference is the COLA. Now, you may end up with a COLA and you may end up with no COLA. In recent years, we've had 3 years with zero COLA. So now there's another thing that we come up to near the end of the year. Everyone's, oh, I got to take my thing so I can get my COLA. I got to get my COLA. It starts getting added to your PIA in the year you turn 62, whether or not you're taking your benefits. So you don't need to take your benefits to get your COLA. It's going to be added into your benefits. However, there is a little caveat. The COLA is not added until you have the necessary 40 quarters, even if you turn 62. Okay? So that's another thing to keep in the back of your mind. So, and then we go on. So now, Social Security will give you a new number. However, they don't generally reassign new numbers, but you have to do that. You have to show you're being harassed, you're abused, or your life's in danger. It is a big decision to make, but it will affect your ability to interact with federal and state agency, employers. Previous financial medical employment will be under your old number. And if you decide to change your name and do your Social Security number, change your name first. It's a lot easier than do it so before changing your Social Security number. Okay. And then there's a whole thing down. We'll probably be up with the links and everything else. So that, and now we're going to go into the benefits that are available. Do you want me to do this slide?
No, some of the benefits we're gonna be covering for you and explaining to you are retirement. Those are the benefits based on your own earnings record. Spousal benefits. Those are when someone's married and 50% of the higher earnings full spouse's full retirement age benefit is more than 100% of the lower earning spouse's benefit. That also covers the divorced spouse that meet the conditions. And then you got the surviving divorced spouses, which are also covered with survivor benefits, such as a widow. Now you have benefits for children, and there's a child and care benefit, and we will explain that to you also. There's parental benefits when someone's responsible for more than 50% of their parents' support. And then there's also disability coverage known as SSDI, which Social Security is more than just state retirement benefits. It's a disability insurance that protects you should you become unable to work. And Jerry, would you like to take us into the next? Where'd it go? Okay. All right. We're going to start with single women, never married. Well, if you've never been married, your benefits depend 100% on yourself, the number of years you've worked, how much you earned while paying into the Social Security system, your age on when you start your benefits, and then, of course, generally, the longer you wait to file after becoming eligible, the higher your monthly benefit will be. As we previously mentioned, from 62 to 70, you can increase your benefits 77%. And you make that decision based entirely on how it's going to affect you should you live a long, healthy life. And this is just an example of showing you the different retirement ages and the percentage cuts or growth as you delay. Today, we're dealing with people that are 6 and 8 months this year, 66 and 10 months. And the more standard everyone's reaching is age 67. And the year of your full retirement age, as you see, affects how large your benefit can grow beyond your full retirement age. With age 67, the most it can increase is to 124%. Married women, importance of understanding the spousal benefit. Now, this is very important to understand this because a lot of changes were made as a result of the Bipartisan Budget Act of 2015, the changes that were made. And we are well aware there's a lot of confusion out there with women wanting to know. And the main question is that we've loved yet is, can I take my husband's benefit and allow my own benefit to continue to grow till I'm 70? Well, that was one of the strategies that has ended. It was known as the restricted application. And unfortunately, even if you wait till your full retirement age nowadays, you no longer have that option. The file and suspend strategy, that's been done since 2016. And this is a chart of the reductions you can take if you take your spousal benefits early. Spousal benefits, to qualify them, as I previously mentioned, 50% of the higher earning spouse's benefit has to be more than 100% of the lower earning spouse's benefit. Now, the difference between those two benefits is the amount you would receive as your spousal boost if you've reached your full retirement age, because they will increase your benefit excuse me, to equal 50% of your higher earning spouse. If you take it at 62 with
So the chart shows that if your full retirement age is 66 and you take your benefit between 62 and 66, what is going to be of the spouse's PIA, your percentage of. So if you're 62, you took it at 62, your full retirement age is 66, it's going to be 35%. And the same thing down to you reach 66. Now, if it's 67, the reduction is much higher, obviously. So just to go over that, we'll go into deemed filing and what it means, because a lot of spouses think, well, I'll take my benefit and then I'll wait at 62 and then I'll take my spousal benefit when I'm at full retirement age. And it doesn't work that way. And Sharon will go through that, deemed filing, the old rules and the new rules. So, sorry. All right. This is a great calculator that's available on the SSA.gov website. It's the benefits of spouses. It technically is best for those spouses who do not have a benefit of their own, but it will give you an idea of, you put in your date of birth, effective month of the year they're going to take it, and it'll give you the calculations. So if we can do that, and then we'll go into, okay, let's go old rules. Old rules. It was only available to those born on or before 1/1/1954. Sharon, you want to continue?
I can try. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Okay. These rules are only available to those born on or before January 1st, 1954. The strategy ended and you're no longer able to just take your spousal benefit at your full retirement age and allow your own retirement benefit to grow. The last group that was eligible for this turned 70 in 2023. But even though the strategy has ended, there are still instances where the spouse using this strategy or eligible for a spousal benefit is the older spouse. And the spouse that's delaying to 70 hasn't taken their benefit yet. So they need to be aware that when that spouse says, okay, I'm 70, I'm applying now, Social Security is not going to automatically start their spousal benefit. You actually need to apply for your spousal benefit.
Yeah,
And
this
there's also still some spouses underneath the restricted application that
This-
forgot to change. And if you did, you need to change now.
yeah. This whole area of restricted applications tends to be very complex. We would suggest if you have if you want to discuss your situation and get our thoughts on guidance, just contact the advisory service at the number shown on the bottom, and we'll work, because it's all individual situations. Depends on birth dates of the applicant and the spouse. So best to contact us and talk through it. Deemed filing.
Deemed filing, when you file for retirement benefits and your spouse or your ex-spouse has already filed, Social Security will deem you as having filed not only for your own benefit, but for any spousal benefit available to you. This, regardless of what your age is. Under the old rule, the spouse could file before the higher earning spouse and take their own benefit. And even if they filed and they hadn't reached their full retirement age yet, that was no problem. They could still wait till their full retirement age, then claim the full spousal benefit to be added to their reduced benefit. Can no longer do that. And this was an example of how it used to work, is that you retire at say for example, you retired at 62 on your own record, your PIA was $1,000. Your spouse, when they half your spouse's PIA was 12,250, which less your full retirement age PIA was 1,000. So your spousal boost was $250. $250. If they started their own benefit, it didn't affect you. If you waited to your full retirement age, you would then apply for your spousal benefit, and you bring your benefit up to the 1,000 you would have originally got. Once again, you can no longer do that. So if your spouse filed after you did and you are entitled to a spousal benefit, it's not automatic and you need to file for it. So if you've reached your full retirement age, you should file for your spousal benefit when your spouse files. Spousal benefits do not grow beyond your full retirement age. And if you file before you reach your full retirement age, your spousal benefit, of course, would be reduced. If you were born January 1st, 1954 or before, and you have a younger spouse and they're just now finally filing for their Social Security benefits and you're eligible for a spousal benefit, you need to actually file for your spousal benefit. It will not be automatically applied. And Eileen will be covering the new rules.
So the new rules is,
Oh, we got more.
okay, because of the Bipartisan Budget Act of 2015 ruling, if you're born on or after January 2nd, 1954, you will be deemed to have filed for spousal benefits when your spouse or ex-spouse files, regardless of your age. If your spouse or your ex-spouse filed before you were, when you file for your retirement, you will be deemed to be filing for both your own benefit and your spousal benefit. If you're filing before your full retirement age, both will be reduced. And that's what the new rules have done. So, for example, if you take your spousal benefit at 62, your spouse hasn't yet filed, you will receive your own benefit reduced. And then if your spouse decides to defer their filing to their full retirement age, you're under your full retirement age, you'll be deemed to have filed for your spousal benefits, which will also be reduced. So now, let's talk about widow benefits. This is a very confusing thing for a lot of people. It's based on the earnings of the deceased. If the deceased was receiving a reduced benefit because of an early filing, the survivor benefit is based on that reduced amount. The maximum survivor amount is limited to what the deceased would be receiving if still alive. If the survivor takes their survivor benefit before their full retirement age, it will be reduced. The survivor benefit is not subject to deemed filing. That's one good thing. And the survivor benefit however, the survivor benefit does not grow beyond your full retirement age. So then, now this is, when we talked about full retirement age, for survivors, there's two full retirement ages. There is their full retirement age based on retirement, and then there is their survivor full retirement age. They cut it off by 4 months. So if you were, your year of birth was 1960, your survivor full retirement age is 66 and 8 months. Now, I want you to remember this figure, the 1960 and 66 and 8 months, because I'll explain something a little further on when we start talking about another survivor full retirement age amount. So if we can go on to the next one. So a widow can claim survivor benefits as early as 60, 50 if disabled. Benefits will be reduced up to 28.5%. Because remember, whenever you take a benefit early with Social Security, it is reduced. So now this is just a chart. I'm not going to read through it, but it shows you what will happen if you file at 62 would be if your year of birth and the survivor full retirement age, okay? And that, I believe this is up on the website. I'm not sure, but I think it is. So we go on the next one. Now, this complicated, now ex-spouses. Now, this is also an interesting thing with ex-spouses. If you're receiving a spousal benefit when your spouse passes, it will stop. If you have already reached your full retirement age, you will automatically be switched to your widow benefit. However, if you're under your full retirement age, you will have to actually apply for the reduced survivor benefit. And you have to use form SSA 4111. And then we'll go from there. So now to qualify for survivor benefits, this is also the current spouse must have been married to the deceased for at least 9 months. Divorced spouse must have been married to the deceased more than 10 years and be currently single or remarried after the age of 60. Widows or any age if they are caring for a deceased dependent child under the age of 16 or adult disabled child before the age of 22. So, moving forward. All right. So this also shows you an example of if a survivor takes it full retirement age of older, they get 100% of deceased benefit amount. If you take it early, like we said, it will be reduced. And then a widow of any age taking care of a child under the age of 16 or disabled is 75%. Any child under the age of 18, 19 if still in elementary or secondary school is 75%. Dependent parent of deceased, age 62 or older, one surviving parent, 82 and a half, and then the two surviving parents who cannot be currently married is 75% of each parent. So now this is the thing that we were talking about prior to when I told you, remember that if you were born 1960 and your survivor retirement benefit is 66 and 8 months. Now this is where this thing comes in. It is referred to, you'll hear it or even receive something from Social Security as the RIBLIM, which is the Retirement Insurance Benefit Limit. It is 82.5% of deceased's PIA. What the deceased would have received at the full retirement age only applies for the deceased starting the benefits before their full retirement age. So a survivor, let's say your deceased spouse started their benefits at 62. You are now, so you may actually reach a maximum benefit amount before your full retirement age. So if your spouse started their benefits at 62 and you're now under your full retirement age, and he's passed, and then you end up at 1960, you reach your 82 and a half cap. You could reach that at 62 and 6 months. So that's something to but oh, there we go. I knew Sharon was going to add something. Let's add something. Go ahead.
Even though you reach your maximum widow benefit,
I was going to say something.
2 and 7 months, you're still affected by the earnings limit until you reach your full retirement age of 67.
I was just going to say that. I figured you were going to jump in. I was waiting for you to jump in and remind everybody of that. Even though you reach your survivor full retirement age, even if it's your 1960 and you reach it at 62 and 6 months or at 66 and 8 months, you're still under that earnings limit till the month of your 67th birthday. So
that's the sad news.
Yeah, that's the sad news. Yeah. So, all right. So let's go into some more. A widow can choose. Now, this is what's called survivor claiming strategy. A widow can choose which benefit to take first. They can either take the smaller while letting their benefit grow. If their benefit is going, I'm going to just talk through this. If their benefit is the largest of the benefit, they could take the lower of the smaller of the survivor benefit, let their benefit grow to age 70 and switch over to their benefit at age 70. Or you can do whatever the larger one is first. It is up to you. but you have to crunch the numbers and determine what is the most advantageous for you. So, and also I know Social Security has been under a lot of criticism because they didn't tell widows this, that they could do this. And that caused a Congressional Budget Office did a big expose of it. And I know now for someone who did apply for their survivor benefit, that Social Security will tell them, you know, you can get a higher benefit if you do this. So, and they said Social Security told them that during the application. And that's also one thing you cannot do on the website. You apply for widow benefits, you must call and make an appointment for the application. They haven't added that to their website yet. Now, the survivor benefits do not accrue delayed retirement credits, although they do get a COLA adjustments between the time your spouse dies and the time you begin collecting your benefit would apply. Okay, so let's say the person has been dead 5 years and you're going to apply for the survivor benefit. All those COLAs in those 5 years will be added. You're not going to lose that. Okay. And then, of course, is the lump sum death benefit, which I think Jerry's going to talk about because there's some statistics about behind that. Oh, wait a minute. Not yet. Now, the divorcees can receive benefits on the ex-spouse's work record, but not both. Your ex-spouse can be remarried. But there are rules for the divorcees. The marriage must have lasted 10 years or longer. You must not currently be married. You must be at least 62. Age 60 if the ex-spouse is deceased, and age 50 if the ex-spouse is deceased and you are disabled. So that we get. Oh, and also another thing that I've heard from a few few women calling about, can I collect? They said, oh, well, it's in the divorce decree. I can't apply for a Social Security benefit. No, 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 no. Divorce decree does not rule over Social Security benefits. So you can apply. You may affect his pension or something like that, but it does not affect, you can apply for spousal benefits for Social Security. Am I correct, Sharon?
Yes, the only
Yes.
requirement is you meet the guidelines to receive
Yes.
it.
Correct. So I just, a few women have said that, you know, it's in the divorce decree, I can't collect. No, yes, you can. They can't rule that one. So go ahead. So if we go forward and there, like we said, now you're going to hear a term that is misunderstood by a lot of people, including Social Security.
I
It's
just had
called,
one.
yeah, I know you just had one. Independent divorce spouses. I know it's a weird term, but they use it. It's government. So it must be you must be divorced for at least 2 years. Your ex-spouse does not need to be collecting his benefit for you to get spousal benefits on his record. However, he must be eligible to receive them. That means he'd have to be at least 62 or on Social Security Disability Insurance or SSDI. Okay. So now let's go into rules for ex-spouses. Remarrying will cause loss of benefits unless the marriage ends in viva the divorce or death. Remarrying someone receiving Social Security benefits, 1 year marriage rule does not apply. Ex-spouse benefit will end the month before you remarry. You must be married a full month to collect a spousal benefit on your new spouse's record. Remarrying someone not yet receiving benefits, you're not eligible until the spouse files. So Jerry, let's talk about the lump sum benefit amount.
Yeah, the lump sum benefit amount is the $255 amount that's payable to a surviving spouse or a child. It's usually paid to the surviving spouse that was living in the same household with the worker when they died. If they were living apart, though, then the surviving spouse can receive the lump sum payment if during the month the worker died they were already receiving benefits on the worker's record, or they became eligible for benefits upon the worker's death. If there are no eligible surviving spouse, if there is no eligible surviving spouse, then the lump sum can be paid to the worker's child or children. If during the month the worker died, they were already receiving benefits on the worker's record, or if they became eligible upon the worker's death. A lot of caveats on that. particular benefit. It's been $255 since it was originally established. There have been a lot of legislative attempts to change that because it doesn't really represent a meaningful value in terms of funeral expenses and things like that. But nothing has ever happened to change it. Statistically, last year, 2 years ago, in 2023, Social Security paid out about $250 million in total lump sum benefits for about 842,000 deaths. Those payments were made to 875,000 individuals since some involved had multiple beneficiaries. It gets to be very complicated. And part of the legislative argument on trying to change this whole process is that it is really cumbersome for Social Security to track this. And it's been, as I said earlier, it's been $255 since the initially put into place 40 years ago. I don't know that anything will happen with it, but periodically legislation is introduced in Congress to either change or eliminate the benefit itself because it's just not as meaningful as it once was. But it's an interesting subject. Common law and civil unions. Sharon, are we back to you?
Oh, got it. Just want to make you aware that common law and civil unions is very uncommon nowadays. It's only allowed in a few states. It is, you go by case law and public policy may dictate benefits. For marriages established in a state that recognizes common law, if you relocate to a new state, they must recognize that marriage. Assistance is available from legal services organizations, clerks, courts, or attorneys if required. But it is still out there, but only in a handful of states.
Okay. Just wrapping up this part of the overall webinar. Again, to reiterate what I said earlier, you get in contact with us if you have a particular question. And so much, just about everything under Social Security is situational. And we like to help people by discussing their situation and, giving our thoughts on the appropriate way to proceed. But because everything is so situational, we encourage you to contact us, and you can contact us by phone. 888-750-2622 is the foundation office phone contact, or you can just send us an email to ssadvisor@amacfoundation.org. We typically respond to those emails within a day, which is uncommon in many of these kind of services, but we take this very seriously, and our staff is dedicated to responding as quickly as we can. And again, you can check our website for general information on Social Security and everything the foundation does, amacfoundation.org. There's a lot of information published there, a lot of articles about activities and programs available to seniors and the veterans community. On the veteran community, we have a whole separate page titled For Veterans that I would encourage you, if you have a veteran in your family that you'd like to know more about services, programs and services available, you might want to check out that For Veterans page. Has a wealth of information of programs and services that are available to veterans. And again, just to reiterate the two topical websites that we maintain, the socialsecurity.report.org and the medicarereport.org. Again, updated 5 days a week, a lot of breaking information about Social Security and a lot of archival information about Social Security, keyword searchable, and can really help you if you're doing research on a particular topic. Thank you very much for joining us, and we hope to see you on Friday for part 2 of this informative seminar.